Kia ora and welcome to Business Your Way, a podcast where I take you behind the scenes and look at the strategies, systems and support needed to grow and scale an online service business. One that not only supports you and your family financially, but one that gives you the freedom to live the life of your dreams. I'm taking the many lessons learnt over the last 2 decades of running my own business and working with hundreds of clients to bring you what's working now conversations. I'm pulling back the curtain to bring you real stories from real people, including myself. We're going to talk about everything from how to get clarity on your vision, creating systems so you can automate and delegate, how to hire a kick-ass team that creates raving, returning and referring clients. We're even going to talk about how to kick those limiting beliefs to the curb so that you can flourish in your business. I'm your host, Sandra Julian, an Indigenous mama of 3, fashion-loving sewist and business strategist. Each week, I want to help you dream big, plan well, and do the work to grow and scale your business your way. If you're ready to scale your business, but you're not sure where to start, you can take my free 2-minute quiz to find out your agency owner persona and uncover how you can use your strengths to scale and streamline your business without compromising you and sacrificing your life. You can head over to the show notes for the link. It is sandrajulian.co/quiz. Hey friend, welcome to episode 54 of Business Your Way. This week we are answering the question, can you really scale a service-based business? Because if you're listening to this podcast, you are a service-based business, an agency owner, but you are in the business of selling your skills, your knowledge, and your experience in exchange for money. And usually when we're thinking about how we are growing our service-based business, we're thinking about how do we get more clients in the door? So how do we generate more clients and fill up our pipeline? And that's the first thing that we're doing when we start a service-based business. Once we get to capacity ourselves, we then start to look at hiring a team in order to cope with the, work that's coming through the door. And so we're growing our revenue, but at the same time, we are growing our expenses. So it's quite often that the concept of growth is associated with a service-based business. Because growth means that you are adding revenue and adding expenses or resources to your business at the same rate, so at the same pace, which means that your profit margin isn't growing. And when we are in business, the ideal for anyone in business, regardless of whether it's service-based business, retail, e-commerce, or any other type of business that we're running, the idea is that we want to increase our profits. And profits will increase dollar-wise if we increase our income and we increase our expenses at the same rate, then yes, the profit margin will grow in value, but the profit margin won't necessarily grow as a percentage. So, service-based businesses also are notorious for having a really low percentage profit margin. So some businesses will report, a service-based business having a profit margin of 5%. I personally think the profit margin in your service business should be at least 20%. So if you are any lower than 20%, then there's definitely some work to do to scale back the expenses or to increase your prices in order to get that better profit margin. But actually, when we are in a service business, we not only want to grow, but we want to look at how we can scale. And being able to scale effectively means that we are growing the percentage of our profit margin in our business. And so the definition of scaling means that we are adding revenue at a much greater rate than we are adding cost to our business, resulting in a bigger percentage of a profit margin. And you're like, well, how on earth do we do that when we have a service-based business where it is our time? And time is a limited resource. So the more clients we get in, the more time we need to deliver the services. Therefore, the more people we need in our business to deliver the services. And so that can be a thought that is like, how on earth do we do this? Like, is scaling a service-based business even possible? Because when you think of a service-based business in relation to a retailer or a manufacturer or a software company, they can all produce product and produce it at scale. And when they produce it at scale, they're not increasing their costs anymore or their operating costs anymore, but they're able to sell more units, which then increases their bottom line or increases their profit margin. But a service-based business, an agency, is different. Your profitability does not depend on achieving scale. An agency can have the same profit margins with one employee as it does 100 employees if we aren't looking at how we are building the foundations of an agency for scalability from the get-go. And this is where I want to introduce you to this concept of scalable growth. This is a fundamental approach to growing a profitable service, which is referred to as the agency model. So scalable growth is growth that can be scaled and sustained without a negative impact on the quality of service that you're delivering. And achieving scalable growth requires structuring your agency to streamline your operation and make it more effective and efficient, and you are then prioritizing your scalability. Because when you start out in business, you're working out what you're doing. You know you've got skills, you know you've got something to offer, and so when you work with your first client, you are working out, what are you doing? How are you doing it? How are you delivering the services? How are you working with your client? What's the best way to do that? How are you reporting to them? How are you documenting what you're doing? But it's just you and your business. So, you can operate like this, and it's part of those early setup phases of a service-based business when you're working out, how do you work? What works for you and how you work? What works for your client and how you deliver your services? How is it packaged? These are all things that you have to go through in those early stages. But once you've established your service-based business, and I kind of measure this on when you reach your first 6 figures, or when you've got to that point where you are employing another person. And that, again, in a service-based business, I believe, is around that 6-figure mark. So once you hit that $100,000 in revenue, that's when you need to start thinking about your scalable growth. I mean, you could carry on and head up to the $200,000 to $250,000 in revenue and have maybe 3 staff and not structured your agency or streamline your operations or prioritize scalability at all. You could get to that point, no problem at all. But at some point, you're going to hit the ceiling where your profit margins begin to decrease and your productivity in your organization starts to decrease. Then the inconsistencies of your service delivery start to really show up. Your communication amongst your team becomes really difficult and it becomes an issue. And then people within your organization begin to work in silos, and services are being delivered to a standard that you never anticipated as the owner would be your business. And this is where I hear service providers, using this term like, I just want to burn down my business. It's hard and it's difficult and it's time consuming, and I'm working all the hours and I'm trading hours for dollars, and it's just not working. And it's not working because you haven't taken a step back in order to set your business up for scalable growth. Because scalable growth is not a strategy, it's not a tactic, it's not a growth hack, it's a fundamental approach to growing a profitable service-based business. So when we move into being a scalable service-based business, we have to move our focus from being a reactive service provider where we are selling to anyone regardless of whether they're the right fit clients. We're just taking any old client through the door and we are customizing every service for that client. That is an unscalable model. So if we want to move into a more scalable agency, we have to look at who is our ideal customer, and we have to be ideal customer driven, meaning that we have really worked out what is the problem in our business that we are solving. And we're selling to clients that meet that ideal client profile who usually have the same problem. So if I give you an example, for my event agency, I know that my biggest pain point for my client is capacity. They don't have capacity to manage their events in addition to all of their other usual business as usual work. So then they come looking for an event professional who they can engage, who can work with them, and who can bring the skills necessary so they don't need to teach us or they don't need to supervise us. They can just let us loose and we will deliver a high quality event for them. So I know my number one pain point for my clients is capacity. So the next area that we can usually improve when we're looking at being a scalable agency and setting ourselves up for scalable growth is taking a look at our project management. If you are using ad hoc solutions and maybe unspecialized tools like an Excel spreadsheet, you aren't really being efficient and effective as you possibly could be. Whereas if you be intentional about the project management tools that you use specific purpose-driven tools like Monday.com, which is my favorite, to manage your projects, because it's not only a project management tool, it's a communication tool. It's a to-do list. It's so much more than just a to-do list in an Excel spreadsheet. So when you're looking at scalable growth in your business, you have to be really intentional about your project management tools and having repeatable processes that give you productivity and efficiency in your business. In coming episodes of the podcast, I really want to dive into more of the ways that you can structure your service-based business for scalable growth, and we'll dive into some of the nitty-gritty. But in order to set yourself up to be scalable, the more your operations have to be streamlined and efficient and effective for what you do. Because when you prioritize scalable growth, you prioritize systems, standardization, and processes. Scalable agencies have formal managerial structures or organizational structures. They can accommodate new clients coming into the organization. It's got a repeatable way which resources are allocated to the new clients, and that they go through the systems and framework within your business to achieve a result that can be predictable. Because that's what you really want in your agency, in your service-based business, is that you want predictable, repeatable results that achieve the quality output that you want to provide your clients. If you're an agency owner, it's highly likely you pride yourself on the quality of the service that you deliver and the quality experience that your clients get. And you don't want to lose that as you grow and scale your business. That becomes the most important thing, and that can only happen when we really prioritize our systems and our processes in our business. But let me just say this, building an agency is not a short-term exercise. Building an agency that can grow at scale is a lengthy process. So if you think you can achieve it in 30 days, you might need to think again, because it's going to take a rethink of everything that you do. And it's one of those things where you might have to take 2 steps back in order to take 10 steps forward. So you've got your agency to, a few employees, but you're all working around the clock. You're all investing many hours in the business. You, as the business owner, are spending lots of time putting out fires, doing all the quality checks, managing staff, managing resources, and yet there's still nothing in your business to show for it. If you're at this stage, this is the part where it can be really fun, because you can just stop, take a step back from your business and go, okay, how do I improve my business so scaling it isn't such a hard job? It becomes easier. How can I make this easy? I love that question. How can I make this easy? I wanted to jump in here really quickly and ask you for a big favor. If you are loving this podcast and this episode, I would be grateful if you could share it with a friend. Or even better yet, jump over onto Instagram and share it on your stories. Don't forget to tag me, I'm sandrajulian.co. That really is the best way for others to find out about this podcast, and I thank you in advance. Alrighty, back to the episode. And step 1 is deciding that you want to focus on scalable growth for your agency. If you don't commit to that, then you're going to put it off, you're going to prioritize other tasks in your business, you're going to carry on being busy. So number 1, make a commitment to focusing on scalable growth for your business. And that practically equates to allocating dedicated time each and every week to do the work to set the foundations for scalable growth. Because as I said earlier, achieving scalable growth isn't a tactic, it isn't a trick, it isn't a hack, it's not something that you can implement over a week. Achieving scalable growth is a fundamental approach to building your agency. So commit to working on your scalable growth. And the first area to tackle, in my opinion, is the core foundations of what your business does, how your business operates, and who your business serves. So we first have to go back to all of the business planning foundations, I suppose you can call them, but I don't like that word, business planning. So I use a system called a business lifestyle canvas, where we take a look at your vision. We articulate the vision that you have for your business. We take a look at the core values by which your business operates. We take a look at your value proposition. So what do you do and how do you do it in a single elevator pitch? We take a look at the differentiators for your business. What differentiates you in the marketplace and from your competitors? We get clear on your ideal client and the problem that you are solving for them. Then we look at your system as a problem-solving solution. So what are your repeatable processes that you can get predictable results for your client when you step them through your system or your process or your signature framework, whatever you want to call that? We need to identify what that is, because it's that framework that is going to get the predictable results for every client that comes through your door. And that's what we want as an agency owner. We want to be able to promise to our clients on what we will deliver for them, what we will do for them, and we want that to be predictable, repeatable, and not customized for everyone that comes through our door. So we identify what is that for your business, and we identify what are your revenue streams, what is going to bring money into your business. So we identify those core elements as our foundation on which we then can build for scalable growth. And then building a scalable agency requires work in 3 key areas, and they are your systems, your team, and your clients. But the first one we want to work on is your systems, because the first step to achieving scalable growth should be integrating all of your systems. When we first start out in business, we bring systems and tools into our business to fulfill a need. We don't necessarily think about how they work with one another, how they integrate, how they flow together. And so this causes problems when we just pull in different tools ad hocly. Our data gets fragmented across multiple tools and multiple systems. Then you don't get any real visibility on your agency operations as a whole. And then information gets siloed into different areas. And, it's not so easy to run your agency when everything is rather fragmented. So the first step is to integrate all of your systems. You want your systems to be more cohesive. The more visibility you'll have into your operations when you have a system and tools which talk to one another. In this area of systems, we also want to look at maximizing your efficiencies. So how are you documenting your repeatable processes and then having those processes followed by all in your agency? And again, still thinking about the systems area of your business, we need to look at your service packages. Have you productized your service packages so you are personalizing your services and not customizing them for every client that walks in your door? So having systems around your service packages, having systems around your repeatable processes, and making sure that your tools can automate and they are integrated. So that's our first area. The next area that we move into when we're looking at our scalable growth is our team. So firstly, do you have an accountability chart that outlines all of the roles and responsibilities that are needed to deliver on the services that you have already prepackaged. This doesn't necessarily mean having a person in every role in your accountability chart, but it does mean identifying the potential roles that you need in your organization. And then it's about recruiting and onboarding the right people to do the right job that have the right cultural fit within your organization. So what are your systems for recruiting and onboarding new team members and setting them up for success from the get-go? And inside this area of team as well, we want to look at how you are leveraging the talent inside your organization. So are you setting clear expectations for them? Do you have a regular meeting cadence? Do you have set agendas? Is there accountability within your organization on a weekly basis at least? Are you checking in with your teams on a 90-day cycle? So we need to look at how we are leveraging our talent once we've onboarded them. So setting your organization or setting your agency up for scalable growth means that we have to look at the team aspect of your business. Once we've got our systems and we've got our team operating for scalable growth, then we can hone in and start on the client area of scalable growth, which means we have a repeatable process for attracting clients and filling our sales pipeline. We build authority and credibility, and we are nurturing our potential clients and our leads. We are increasing our reputation. We have a marketing strategy in place, and we have that in a repeatable way. So it's not an ad hoc marketing process, it's a marketing plan, and it's working for us, and that's how we are building our authority and our credibility to attract our right fit clients. And then we have a system, well then you design a system to convert those potential leads into clients. But you are not just accepting any client that puts their hand up to work with you. You actually got a process of assessing whether people are a right fit client for your business, for the service packages that you offer. And when you've got these 9 strategies of a scalable agency growth dialed in, and you take your time to get these dialed in over, a few months, then you have set yourself up to really scale your agency over the coming years. You've set the foundations on which you can now leverage. You've got your systems in place. You've got your team in place. You know how you're bringing clients into your business. Now you can really, push that lever to the full go position to start growing and scaling at the same time. Because we're a service-based business, we're not just scaling and we're not just growing. We are working on the scalable growth approach to build our business and increase our profits. So if you're ready to move away from trading your time for money, you want to free up more of your time and stop sacrificing your life for your business or vice versa, then I invite you to book a free 60-minute scale strategy session with me. These sessions are designed for agency owners, service providers who are generating between $8,000 and $10,000 per month and maybe have a small team of 1 or 2 people, and you're ready to take your agency to the next level. On this call, we'll take a look at your current situation to see what is or isn't working. We'll identify what's possible for you and your business in the next 90 days and beyond. We'll also uncover the number one bottleneck restricting your growth and holding you back from scaling. And we will develop a 3-step growth plan that you can get results into your business now, so you will see the fruits of this work in the many years to come. And when you book in for your 60-minute scale strategy session, the first thing I will get you to do is an agency scale scan. You'll do that just before our meeting. So when we get together for our 60 minutes, we can get down to really identifying the areas of your business that need work in order to achieve your scalable growth. So if you've been wondering, how on earth do I increase my profitability? How do I stop trading time for money, which is always the biggest question, and how do you move out of overwhelm in this agency model that you have begun to build? Book in your free 60-minute scale strategy session, and we will create a 3-step plan for you to move into enjoying your business and growing a profitable service-based business without sacrificing the other areas of your life. To book your free 60-minute scale strategy session, head on over to sandrajulian.co/scale. I'll also put a link in the show notes for you. Before you go today, I want to thank you for being here and listening all the way to the end. All the links to this week's episode can be found in the show notes, and you can read a full blog of the episode at sandrajulian.co/podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that subscribe button and get new episodes as soon as they're released. If you'd like to reach out to me and chat about anything on today's episode or any of the previous episodes on the podcast, then I've got a link in the show notes so you can leave me a voice message or a video message. I really do look forward to hearing from you. Alrighty, have a productive week, and I will talk to you again real soon.